Thousands of religions all over the world, all believing different things, but isn't it kind of the same thing? What is it that makes believing in Jesus better? What is it that makes Christianity different from other religions? Well, hey guys, Josh here from YouthLIFE, answering questions which you guys have sent into us. And today's question is, what makes Christianity different from other religions? We're going to do this one in two parts. This is part one. Make sure you check out part two. And that's because the answer really is two answers, and that's two words, and they're world-changing, game-changing, and life-changing words, answering the question, what is it that makes Jesus different? So make sure you check out both parts of that. But before we get into what it is that makes Christianity different, let's see what it is that makes all religions the same, right? What is it that religions have in common, so that then we can better understand what it is that Jesus has that's different to that. Here's what religion is and what religion believes. Religion is a belief that there's something more to life than just physical stuff, that there's something kind of deeper and something bigger to life than just what we can touch and taste and see and hear, and that if we understand that truth, whatever it is, and connect with that, then we will get happiness and joy right now and forever. There'll be a reward. That tends to be the basis of every religion. Now, the way it actually plays out is different. The details are different. Some religions have millions of different gods. Some religions just have one God. Some religions even actually have no gods at all in the way that we would normally define God. But they have that same kind of underlying purpose and belief. And the way that plays out is pretty similar in all of them. Here's kind of how it rolls out. Every religion has some kind of gate, some kind of way of entering, right? That is, there's a way that you become a Buddhist or a way that you become a Muslim. There's an entrance, there's a gate. Then there's a way that you follow once you've gone through that gate. That it might be a particular way of life, it might be a list of rules, it might be cultural expectations, all kinds of different ways that you live if you're someone who has that religion. And then at the end of that way, having lived your life according to that religion, it's like there's another gate, there's a giant entrance, and maybe it's even more of like an entrance exam. That is, when we get to the end of our life, there's an assessment task. And if we've followed the way well enough and done the tasks properly, then we'll get through that gate at the end. We'll get through that entrance and get the reward. And if we haven't done things well enough and we fail that exam, then we don't get the reward at the end. That's how most religions work. And there's some massive problems with that if that's the way things actually are. Here's a few of those problems. Surely some of you guys like me have had a time when you went into an exam thinking that you knew all the stuff you needed to know, thinking you were prepared, and then just saw that question and went, when did we learn that, right? You get blindsided by something you weren't prepared for and end up failing an exam that you were so confident in. What if that happens after we die? What if we're not actually ready for that exam? There's other problems as well as we go through our life, that if we think we're nailing it, we tend to just become proud and arrogant, and we look down at other people. We all know kids who are like that at school or at uni, right? Who, because they're smart and they get good assessment tasks, it's like they look down on everyone else. We can become like that, or we can end up becoming someone who doesn't get those marks and isn't feeling good about how they're going, and we end up just becoming discouraged and depressed and despairing that we would ever be good enough. And even after all of that, we're left with the question, if God is the one doing that final assessment task, and we want God to be good, right? If he's perfectly good, then he can't let people in unless they get 100%. Because if he does, he's actually turning a blind eye towards evil. He's turning a blind eye towards wrong. And the last thing that a good, perfect God can do is sweep evil under the rug and pretend it's not there. So there's all these reasons why that idea of religion doesn't work. That idea that we can go through the gate, follow the way, pass the test at the end and get our reward just doesn't satisfy. How is it that Christianity is different? Well, the answer is the first of those two words that I mentioned. And that word is grace. Is there a gate to get into Christianity? Well, yes, there is. But in John chapter 10, Jesus says, I am the gate. Right? It's not a ritual, it's not a task, it's not something that has to be done, it's a person that we've got to meet. It's a It's a person who we start having a relationship with. That's how you start to become a Christian, by having a relationship with Jesus, by getting to know him, talking to him, and hearing from him. What about the way? Is there a path that we follow? Well, yeah, there is. John chapter 14, Jesus said, I am the way. Right? Again, it's not a list of rules. It's a relationship with Jesus. It's different. And then what about that final assessment? Is that still there in Christianity? Well, yeah, it is. And that holy, perfect God has set that bar at 100% because he's perfect and he can't just overlook failure. But Jesus changes everything there as well. And imagine we're talking about a school subject, right? And you've enrolled in it, and that's the gate. And then you've done all your homework along the way. You've followed the way, and now you're getting to that final exam or that final assessment task. I wonder if any of you, like me, have ever done a group assignment. Group assignments are the worst, right? And maybe some of you guys love them. I think those who love them and hate them for actually the same reason. One person does all the work. One person is smart and hardworking and diligent, and they do all the work, and the other people don't know what is even going on, and they put in no effort, and they're lazy, and they share that person's mark. You love it or hate it, depends on which of those characters you're playing in that story. Here's what Jesus did. Jesus turned religion into a group assignment in a way. See, the mark required is 100%. Jesus became one of us. He enrolled in the course, right? He became a human, and he nailed that assessment task. He went ahead and he prepared and he got 100%. He got an HD, right? Like A+++. And anyone who joins his group will get that mark. So that now the question that we all have is, do I want to try and do the test on my own? Like, do I want to try and follow the way, do the test at the end, face God, explain my life, and try and be perfect? Or do I want to join Jesus's group? And then I get his mark at the end. That changes everything. Because suddenly, I don't get proud and boast if I'm doing well, because I know that the only reason I'm going to pass at the end is because I'm trusting him. And at the same time, I don't get despair or discouraged when I fail, because I know that that's not going to matter. It's going to get covered over by Jesus' success. And I don't have to worry as I get towards the end of my life that what happens if I don't pass that exam. The question is not, am I good enough to get into heaven? It's, is Jesus good enough to get me into heaven? And the answer is yes. And so it changes everything. Jesus is the gate. Jesus is the way. And then we join Jesus, and he's the way that we make it through that final judgment as well, because we share in his righteousness. The Bible takes all of those concepts, the free gift that Jesus is giving us by inviting us to be a part of his group, and the word it uses, it calls that grace, getting something that we don't deserve. And grace is something that makes Christianity different from every other religion. Christianity is never about what I do. It's all about what Jesus has already done. That changes the game, that changes the world, and it changes our lives. Not just now, but for all eternity. So the first big word, grace. The second big word that makes Christianity different from every other religion, grace and truth. Get across, check out part 2 to find out how truth sets Christianity apart from all other religions in the world. Leave us a comment, send us a message, tell us what you think about the grace that we have in Jesus, and send through any other questions that you have that you would like us to answer here at Youth Life.